Alrighty, welcome back all of the amazing QGIS community to our next session. It's the third session in a series that we've been having given by Tibor about LIDAR data and LIDAR visualization. And I'm sure you've seen Martin hanging around in the room, but I'd like to introduce him and he can say a few words. So this is Martin and he is from Lutra Consulting, and he will just give us a few words if you have any questions for him or anything about, sort of the whole series that we've been doing so far, and as well as just, a few of the things that come up today. He'll be in the session for the first half an hour. So please just do put in your questions and he will start us off. Over to you.
Thanks for the introduction, Amy. Just wanted to say hi to everyone. I'm excited for another session about the LIDAR data in QGIS. I also wanted to point out that just recently, as most probably know, there has been a release of QGIS 3.20. And with that, there are a few changes in the release, especially for Windows users. So right now, all the releases do include point cloud support, which wasn't the case previously in the 3.18, and Tibor was also pointing it out in his first session, I believe, that you had to pick the right installer. So the good news is that right now, any installer you pick for 3.20 is going to have the point clouds included. So that's just a quick intro from me, and enjoy the session. And as said, I will be here for 30 minutes if there are any questions about the development of the point cloud support.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks so much. Over to you, Tibor. I was just making some points that were coming through.
Again, thanks for inviting me. Thanks to Martin to be here and use the time when Martin is here, and you can complain about everything what is not working on LIDAR data, but I think that it is perfect. So probably I will finish my LIDAR session today. Now it will be about the visualization of data. I will show you some really base techniques like very hill shades and so, but then we will go further to much more sophisticated techniques, blendings of layers, some new software, and maybe it will be up to the time we will finish with the data optimalization for processing, how we can put the data together, how to stitch them to the one raster, how we can put them to the mobile device, and so. Okay, as usual, I start to prepare my things 2 minutes ago, so I have no idea where I will start, but I will try. I will start with new window of QGIS. I'm really sorry I resized the screen of the monitor because I want to show you everything in the detail, but then I'm totally lost. Where is the one tool, second tool, and so and so.
Alrighty. When you do share your screen, can I just ask that you hide the little you're sharing screen thing, because sometimes it covers some of the tools at the bottom. So when you do share your screen, there'll be a little message that you can hide.
Okay. I have to start the share. Good to know. It's too hard here, so I'm a little bit lost, like every time. Give me an hour. Then you can ask Martin something. Share your screen. Okay, and I will hide. Hi, everybody. Okay.
Awesome.
So I will start with the burial mounds and classical visualization techniques like hill shade. I will add some data. It will be somewhere probably here. It is in the Western Slovakia. It is called, the site is called Skalica, and now you cannot see almost nothing. But if we will use the hill shade, we can see something. And there are two ways how we can use the hill shade in QGIS. One is to use one of many tools built in GDAL or in Saga or in Grass to generate hill shade. But my favorite way is to use the Onfly Shade. So if I will open the window with properties, I can choose the render type hill shade. And now I can hit apply. And now you can see that, okay, I will use F7 for this, that we have some burial mounds here. This is the LIDAR with 1 meter resolution. And you can play with a lot of factors. For instance, how you can, my favorite word, rate, multiply the elevation. You can you can play with the Z factor. You can see that now the burial mounds are popping out more and more. You can go to the extreme, like for instance 10. Sometimes it's pretty useful, but then sometimes you can have a problem. Another problem what you can have is maybe you see it on the screen, maybe no, but sometimes if you are use the hill shade on fly generated in QGIS, then you have a problem with the graphical artifacts. It is related with the different definition of coordinate system and with the different way of resampling, because by default the resampling is used nearest neighborhood, and then you can have this problem. So if you want to use this tool, my advice is switch it to the linear. Now it's much time better. Also, one interesting thing how you can make the feature more pronounced is not just the Z factor. I will lower to the 2. But sometimes it is really worth it to play with the, for instance, altitude of the sun. You can go to the extremes, you can go to the really low angles, and you know it is the same effect when you are using the sun, when you have the sunset or sunrise, that shadows are more pronounced. What should be also really useful is sometimes to play with the angle. And sometimes you can see by playing with the azimuth of the sun, the feature what are not possible to see as usual. And for instance, this is the techniques what are using the epigraphists in the Maya area to read the glyphs on the stelas. They are using the source of the light and they are playing with angles and azimuths. And for instance, what you can see that sometimes it depends on the azimuth of the sun. Some features, especially here in this linear network of traces or paths, are appearing or disappearing. It really depends on the azimuth of the sun. This you can use for your advantages, but sometimes it is a little bit disadvantage. For instance, imagine that this burial mound will be higher, and here will be some smaller burial mound, and it will be hidden in the shadow. So another option is to use the multi-directional hill shade. And I will switch it to something more normal. Then you can see the terrain is highlighted from I believe from 3 points, and I believe there is some accent to this side, but you can compare the difference with the visualization. So this is the really base technique. Really worth it to play with the Z factor. Really worth it to play with altitude of the sun, with the azimuth, and so on. One of the surprising technique how you can sometimes highlight things is to calculate slope. I'm not sure if this will be a good example, but I will try it. So I will try to calculate some slope. Okay. And if you will use the normal visualization, normal color scale of the slope, then it seems weird. But if you will I will hit the F7. I will switch the color gradient from white to black. And then I will, for instance, limit the maximum angle of the slope to 40. It's another way to visualize, to make the data pronouns, to add some details. You can stack those layers and you can combine those layers. I, for instance, don't like the things with the classical hill shades that they are isotropic, anisotropic. I never recognize those differences. I don't like when the visualization is dependent of the direction of the light. So for this reason, I'm using only the techniques like multidirectional hill shades or the slopes, because they are dependent from the azimuth of the sun. But then is little issue with that you cannot recognize, how to say, the height or the topography in the relief. Everything seems the flat. You cannot recognize that if this place is much time higher than this place and another place and so and so. And one thing how to solve is to use the contours. Those are many things how to generate contours, and I'm really thankful to Martin that he made this on-fly generation of the contours. And but you have to generate it on the digital elevation model. So I will duplicate the layer. I will rename the layer. And I can set here it will be contours. Here it will be base contour interval. You can go really low, for instance. Then here are the index contour interval. They should be a little bit more pronounced or so. And you can have this on-fly visualization of the contours. Now my resolution of the screen is much time lower than usual. So it seems a bit laggy on the monitor, but if I'm on my normal resolution, it's really worth it to have it. And I really using this on-fly visualization of the contours because sometimes if I'm working with the cultural heritage, I have to go to the interval of contours for 10 centimeters or something like that. And imagine that you have 50,000 square kilometers of the country. It is not possible to generate the vector contours from digital elevation model. So this is really good technique, but with good resolution. But still, I want to talk about the contours in different ways. The contours in the QGIS or in the GIS, it is one really special topic, but I think that, for instance, Klaus Klackerson made a really nice video about this topic. I will try to generate the vector contours on the really flat area, and I will try to show you how you can deal with the issues related with the contours in flat area. So I will add the data. It will be from my city called Vrable. And there is a problem that this is the really high resolution LIDAR, like with 25 centimeter per pixel. And then there is a problem. For instance, it is so detailed that you can see the remains from the plowing. And the remains from the plowing should be something like the noise. I will aggregate this, for instance, 10 times. And this should be really problematic on the contours in the flat area, or generally, this kind of noise is a problem of contours in every kind of area. But here we have the combination of two problems. First is the plowing. Second is the really flat area, and contours on the flat terrains there seems pretty ugly. So I will try to generate some contours. I have really good experience with contours from the GDAL. For instance, I really like using the white box tools because of the optimalization of the tool, but the contour plugin there is a little bit slow. And if you are using the GDAL, then you have also the correct orientation of the contours, and it is really useful for labeling. So I will use interval of the contours, for instance, ½ meter. I hope that it will go quickly. Not so quickly, so I will make, okay. I will try to hit close, and I will try to extract the area. Extract by extend, clipping extend will be from the map canvas extend. The file will be temporary. Okay. And now I will generate the contours of another ½ meter interval, and I will put it to the temporal file. Okay, it's a little bit faster. And the result will be contours, and we have to smooth them. And with the smoothings, there are many issues. For instance, you can use on-fly smoothing. It was also proposed by Clarkson Geometry Generator. You can use the special plugins for the generalization of the data. But then you can have a problem with the topology of the data. You can have self-intersecting contours and all kinds of things. So now you can see that here are the really messy contours because I told the problem with the blowing and especially with the flood area. So those contours doesn't seem really nice. My advice is not to use the post-processing of the vector contours. Much time better is to smooth the terrain before. And those are few things how to smooth the terrain. One good is to change the resolution of the raster. So I will again export this variable clip. But it will be with the not 25 centimeter resolution, but it will be with the, for instance, ½ meter resolution. I will save it here. Okay. If I will generate the hill shade, then you can see that it is not so weird and not so noisy. And now I will generate some contours from this LIDAR with 2x lower resolution, especially in the GIS and in the raster data. If something is 2x smaller, then the amount of the data is 4x smaller, so the speed of the processing will be much time faster. Okay. Or pretending the video will be much time faster. I hope that I use the correct LIDAR. Yes, it seems that yes. But it's harder to say if you can recognize the difference. There are some differences. I believe that the orange ones are the older contours. These are the new contours. But still, it is still a bit complicated. So my another advice is not just lower the resolution of the digital elevation model, but also use kind of smoothing. And one of my favorite smoothing is from my favorite plugin, Whitebox Tools. I have to activate this plugin. Okay, I will pray if it will work. Okay. Then I will go to the processing. I will try to smoothing, future preserving smoothing. I will use the digital elevation model with 50 centimeter resolution. Then I will just hit the OK. I have now my digital elevation model. I will use again the hill shade. It's much time smoother than the version with the 50 centimeter and much time smoother than the version with the 25 centimeter. And now I will generate the contours again. Okay. My input will be output file, what is smoothed by future preserving smoothing. The interval will be half meter, and I will hit the run. It's really fast. And now, if I will check those contours, I have to put the different style to it. Something. Oh, okay. This kind of color is good. And now you can compare the shape of the contours in a really flat and noisy area. You can compare it with the original contours from the unsmoothed surface, with the contours with lower resolution, and you can see that it's pretty big difference between them. So try to lower the resolution of the digital elevation model and try to use kind of smoothing. And one of the best algorithms is feature preserving smoothing, and is very well and very fast implemented in the Whitebox tool. Okay, so those was about some basic techniques for the visualization. It was mainly related on the hill shade, on the contours, and maybe what was something new for you was that you can use the slope for the visualization of digital elevation model. But now I will try to show you something a little bit more advanced. Okay, I think that I can discard this project. And I will try to show you how to pronounce I call it the Archaeology of Invisible, how to pronounce almost invisible features in the digital elevation model, like very shallow trenches or the walls. I will use the model from our prison in Leopoldo, and now you can somehow see the shape of this building because there is not big difference in the elevation. But usually the typical situation is that you have the data from the LIDAR what are going, for instance, from 100 meters to 400 meters. And if you will use it, then you have the problem see something in the data. If you will, for instance, use the hill shade, then you can somehow recognize the shape, but not so very well. And we will try to make those things more visible by a little trick. We will make the average of the digital elevation model in a certain area. I think that I'm using in 1 meter resolution the area of 20 meters. And then I will subtract those smoothed hill shade from the original hill shade. You can do it by many ways, but maybe most easier way is again to use the Whitebox tools. And I will go to the geomorphometric analysis. And like I told, I can make the mean of the raster in a certain area. and then I can subtract it from the original digital elevation model. But I believe that here is one really nice tool what is doing the same, and it is the deviation from mean elevation. In archaeology, we also use it under the name the simple local relief model. So I will use not the filter in the size of 11 pixels. In my case, I have 1 meter per pixel digital elevation model in this report. So I wanna use 21. And if I will hit the run, now you can see much more details from this report. And you can also make another visualization, or you can visualize it in a different way, because if I will hit F7 and I will go to the histogram, then you can see the values are symmetrical around 0. In the case of 0, there is no difference between the digital elevation model and smoothed digital elevation models. Here you can see that mean and max are going from -2 to 2 meters. And you can play with those parameters. You can, for instance, we can try to reduce min and max symmetrically to the -2 and 2. Okay, you can see this kind of structure. I can really lower this interval, for instance, to -0.5 and use the 0.5. Now the features are much more pronounced. You can see the remains of the old walls of the fortress. You can see the remains of some water jets and so and so. And this is a really useful technique for checking the feature in the really flat areas. And especially, I'm not using this black and white, but I'm trying to use the single band pseudo color. I will use only 2 bands. I will add them. One will be -0.5, second will be 0, and this will be plus. And I will put the different color here. For instance, here I will use the yellowish color. Here I will use something what is between something bluish, moreover. And in the middle, I will use the gray color. And maybe the gray color with some amount of transparency. But I'm thinking if I will go to the, okay, I will go to the gray in this direction. And now you can recognize that what was the wall or convex feature, it is with the yellow color, or what was the ditch or concave feature, it is with the bluish color. And I will keep those color because I will try to show some tricks on them. Maybe this will be nicer. But maybe I will make a little break because of Martin. There are some questions to Martin. Okay.
I'm looking at the chat, but I don't see any questions there for me, so...
There's only one question. They just said EPT support in 320, right? Question mark.
All right, yeah. So that's one of the features that we have added in QGIS 3.20, and that's the possibility to use remote so-called EPT datasets. So that's kind of something similar as you have with the raster tiles or with vector tiles, that you can stream point cloud data from some remote server without having to download all the huge files. Yeah, that's quite useful if you have some kind of source of data. One example data set is from the LIDAR survey from USGS that is indexed to EPT format. So if there are some users from US, that's definitely nice to explore. Plus, there are some more countries. I think the LIDAR survey, I believe, from the Netherlands is also indexed that way, and maybe some others.
Awesome. There are not any other questions, and next time I'll try and remember to unmute myself.
All right, so yeah, I will just say bye-bye and let you, Tibor, to continue your talk.
Great. Thank you so much, Martin, and thank you for answering our questions and just being part of the process.
Yeah,
Okay.
bye-bye.
Thanks, Martin. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. So I will continue with more advanced technique. And now I will talk about the third-party software, but it is free software, and it is really nice work of people from Slovenian University. Slovakia is not Slovenia. And they did the really nice research in past 10 years in the way how to visualize. I hate this kind of word. How to make the visualization of LiDAR data and relief data. So first I will point to web page. I'm usually Google the RVT, like Raster Visualization Toolbox. Then I will put the LiDAR there. And the first link, it seems like this. There is the web page of the tool. First, you can download these tools. Unfortunately, it is only for Windows. I have to say that this tool is only one reason why I'm still on the Windows. In that case, I will use the Linux. They have a really nice manual. And in this manual is, for instance, workflow, how you can batch visualization, make the batch visualization of the many rasters. You have to read it. It is possible, and I'm using it. And then, why I have the Internet Explorer here. They have a really nice presentation about many of those visualization techniques. They are explaining why the simple hill shade is not so good, what are differences between different techniques, between principal component analysis of hill shading and so and so. And also they wrote a really nice book about those visualization. It was in 2017. You can find it in the tab publication. Then you will go a little bit down, and here is the airborne laser scanning raster data visualization, a guide to good practice. It was available on PDF. Now I cannot find it in the PDF here, but you can read it on the Google Books. And here is the really complex manual how to make the visualization of the feature. And what I really like is the table at the end. Okay, but the Google Books doesn't like this table. And at the end is the table which kind of visualization is suitable for which kind of feature. Some are more better for the linear feature, some are better for more pronouns or hidden feature, and so and so. And if you will use the tools from them, you have to download it. It is not necessary to install the tool. You have to just unpack to some folder. And then I have it here, Raster Visualization Toolbox. And then I will go to the tool. I will hit the continue. And you can add some geotiff here. What is only problem, it doesn't like the geotiff with the deflate compression, but it is maybe too technical. And if you will be there, you will see that there is a problem. And I will put this, I think that it was the Leopoldo. And you can use a lot of filters from them. And I will use, for instance, the mix of those filters. They made really nice filter archaeological values at the terrain or something like that. It is mix of many filters. And I will hit the blend images. It will be relatively fast because the software is good optimized for the multi-core computing. And here I see the results. They are starting with the same name like in my original digitalization model. Then you can see the raw geotiff, and also you can see the 8-bit versions of each kind of visualization. The 8-bit is made with the presets of the colors and cuts of histogram as they advise. And for instance, here is the mix of those filters called archaeological value. And you can see it like here. And I will use the raw data. I will put it back to the QGIS. I will go here, refresh. I will use the raw data. I believe I'm okay with it. And for instance, you can use the different blending modes. I can use, for instance, here the blending, my favorite is overlay or the multiply. And now you can see the mix that here are the hidden small feature like the ditches and the walls. And here are more pronounced feature from this kind of visualization, what is called archaeological, I don't know. And this is my advice, that try to make your own visual filters. Usually I'm using the combination of 5 or 7 layers. I'm mixing the slopes together. Sometimes they are colored red because I'm using the trick that if it's something convex and it is yellow and it is mixed with a lot of slope, which is red, then the result is orange. And if it's something blue and it is mixed with red, then the result is violet. So you can play with it and you can blend those filters. For instance, here are the example of mine filters. Those are the filters made for 25 centimeters. And for instance, here I have the filters for the, give me a second. Something is weird. No, this is for the flat area, for flat surface. Here it's for 25 centimeter resolution, but more suitable for the mountains. And maybe I will try to show you the advantages of mixing of things and layer together. It is one of the mix. Because, for instance, I have the problem that with really high resolution LiDAR, like 25 centimeter per pixel, I can make the nice visualization in the mountains, like for instance here in Zobor. Okay, here I am. Here is the one of the hill fort with walls and everything. And it is really useful also in the high mountains, like we have the high Tatras. But what is problem that in the flatland area, it is almost impossible to use this visualization because the problem of flowing, but also the problem with the quality of the LiDAR data. You can see those kind of issue. But sometimes but for the flat area and for the flat surface, I made the visualization based on the standard deviation from the mean or the simple local relief models. And you can see many times, many features, like I told, the old roads, and so and so and so. And for instance, I want to combine those two filters. So I can try to mix them. I will try to show you way how to mix them in, for instance, here in one side. This is really big archaeological site, Guildford, and I will try to combine my visualization for the flood country. So I will extract this visualization. I will use the layer that is called too much of layers. Right. And I will save it like okay. I think that I have it. And I will also use the visualization for 25 centimeters, but it's more much time better for the hills and for the mountains. Okay, it was lot 11. Run. Okay. And here I have visualization for mountains. It is visualization for flood. And you can try to mix them together. For instance, I will use this color scheme. Then I will use I will try to use multiply mode here in this case. Okay, multiply is now maybe too dark, but I will maybe try to use overlay. And now you can see the combination of each filters. That here you can see the details from the high resolution filter for the mountains, but under the filter is combination of the visual filters, what is suitable for the flood area, and they are mixed together. And for instance, I can add the buildings here. Because in these visual filters I have the buildings, in this now I see some ghosts and shadows and so and so. I have my layer with the buildings from this area. Okay, and I can use for the buildings, this is the raster layer, and I can use also one nice feature, and this is the coloring of the raster. Okay, but not in this case. In this case. Buildings, I will use, like I told you, it is the digital elevation model. I will use the hill shade, and I will add some red color there, or more red, or more pronounced. Now I can mix the layers and combination of layers as I want. And maybe one last thing what I want to show it to you is how to combine those kind of visualization to one single layer. And for this, it's really useful to use the processing toolbox, what is called Raster Tools, and you can convert map to raster. First, you have to choose the extent of the area. I will use the, okay, this is really complicated. I will try to rename this layer to start with A. Okay. I will use the extent of my display now. It's a little bit easier to make it like to find in the layers. Okay. Then what is really necessary to set is the resolution of the output. In my case, I'm blending 25 centimeter per pixel and 1 meter per pixel, but the result should be higher resolution. So we will hit it at 25. And you can save it somewhere. You will hit the run. And where are the problems? Maybe it will take a long time, even if it is small area. And the problem is in the structure of the LIDAR raster data, because those rasters are really big. But now I'm here, I believe, with the outputs. Okay, so here I have my output layer, and it is mixed of everything. It is also my screen extent. I visualize only this street, but if I will switch it off, then you can see nothing, but it was a combination of the building, visualized with the trick of the hill shade and colorized raster, the visualization of the high resolution data and low resolution data, and combined by overlay. Another way how you can export your mix of visualization, because you can put everything together, simple cognitive models, sky view factors, everything, is to generate embed tiles. Why I'm using these embed tiles? Because usually when I'm working in the archaeology, I'm putting those visualization to my mobile devices. And it is really nice to walk in the jungle or in the desert with the map of the LiDAR, and you can see where are you. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to prepare the example for you on the screen. But again, you will generate embed tiles. You will select extent. Use the maps canvas extent in my case. Then you have to choose the minimum and maximum zoom level. You have to realize that if you put the every zoom level is 4 times bigger than previous zoom level, so you have to choose it wisely. For instance, if I want to use the resolution of the LiDAR on my screen, like half meter per pixel, then I believe it is zoom level, I think 16. Then you will set the format. Usually I use the PNG, but if you want to save the place on your mobile device, you can use the JPEG format. And then it will ask you for the output for the embed tile, and I will save it to the okay. Now it will be generated relatively quickly because it was small area. And now you can put the result, the embed tile file, to your mobile device. Here is the file. It's too small, but okay, this is the free improvisation. For instance, I'm using in my field research the application called Locus GIS or Locus Pro, because it is really good for the outdoor navigation and so. It is not free application, but I wanna try it, but I'm using it because I can put all kind of maps there and all kinds of data format, and especially those embed tiles. But one day I wanna play with the Q field or with the input. I hope that during this summer I will start with it. Okay, I'm a little bit exhausted with the unbelievable hut what I have here. I will probably stop now. It is many things what is possible to discuss. For instance, how to make the rasters much time faster, with using of the GDAL and the cloud optimized geotiff. but not in this case. I have enough, but I'm happy that it was possible to present you something.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. It's always great to, have a continuity in a series, and it's just great to see, taking from the beginning when we were learning how to literally interact and download these things to now when, these visualizations are fantastic, and being able to, understand how all of that works, and being able to put these onto mobile applications, etc. I mean, as you were saying, to use QField or input would be such fun. I'm actually keen to try that out. So thank you so much, Tibor. This was absolutely fantastic. I'm just checking in the chat to see if there are any comments or questions. So please do send those through if you do have any. There we go. Great stuff. Let's just have a look. Tibor, are your main applications for sort of archaeology, anthropology kind of data?
Probably I didn't get this question. I'm too exhausted from the heart. If I'm working mainly in this field?
Yes, yeah.
I'm the GIS specialist. I'm from the Slovak University of Technology, and originally I'm a land surveyor, but I work for 20 years only with the cultural heritage. For instance, I was working on one of the biggest archaeological LIDAR scanning in Guatemala. 2 days ago, we received the new data set, and that's the reason why I didn't for the last 48 hours. And but for now, we have the open data in Slovakia, LIDAR data, with really nice quality, with the density around 20 centimeters, 20 points per square meter. So one of my work for last 2 months was to reinterpolate whole Slovakia to the 25 centimeter per pixel resolution, and then to generate those kind of visualization like you can see. And it was a bit exhausting because it was a kind of volunteering job, but I really love this job. So, okay, for the archaeology, everything.
Alright, so VN in the live chat asks which data set you're working on. So this is open data from Slovakia.
Yes, you can download them if somebody are without the LiDAR data. And last time I promised to send you the links and I forgot about it. Now I will try it.
That's
you will
all right.
go to the geoportal.sk. You can switch to the English. Then you have the map client here. Then you can switch to the layer with the terrain. And here you can see all available LiDAR from Slovakia. In 2023, we will finish everything. And you can hit here and go to the data export. And you can download the point clouds or the digital surface model, digital terrain model, and you can play with those data. And really, it's really worth it to play with those kind of data because usually the LiDAR have the density around from 1 to 5 meter per square meter, 1 or 5 points per square meter. But in Slovakia, we have really, really nice LiDAR and really accurate.
All right, great stuff. I think we're going to have to wrap up with our session because we have another one in 5 minutes. So that just leaves with, thank you so much, Tibor, for giving us this fantastic another session in the series. So really thank you for doing that. And I hope that your side of the world cools down a bit and you can get Guatemala data processed.
Yes, one day, I hope. Okay, thanks for the time and have a good fun with those kind of data. And be kind to cultural heritage.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tibor.
Okay, bye-bye.
Cheers, cheers.